This is the Cool Photo Tools Podcast, episode number 54, February 15th, 2016.
Are you sick of trying to learn all the new photo software? Are you tired of hearing about the next big thing in photography? Well, neither are we. Welcome to Cool Photo Tools with Jay Biersdorf and Rhonda Spencer.
Today's sponsor is Audible.com, who has more than 180,000 audiobooks and spoken word audio products. Get a free audiobook of your choice at www.audibletrial.com/coolphototools. So good morning, cool heads, and welcome to another exciting episode of Cool Photo Tools, where we complicate your life and add to the expenses that you need to come up with just to survive in the field of photography. No, we don't make it easy. We make it hard. But that's why it's great. It wouldn't be great if we weren't there to help you, tell you about the stuff that you absolutely needed to have, and you just can't be a professional. You can't do your job unless you have this stuff.
Wow.
Good morning, Rhonda Spencer here in our studios.
Jay. How are you?
I'm awesome, as usual.
Good.
So welcome, everybody. Those of you that are listening on audio only, welcome. And those of you that have transitioned to our video podcast on YouTube as well, welcome. That's where it's kind of nice. We can show you things that we are looking at the same time. But of course, we also are continuing with the audio because, sometimes you just need your fix of photo tools and you have to drive somewhere and you can't watch. That's okay. You can watch when you get home. Just go to coolphototools.com and check our website. We have show notes. If there's something that we mentioned, you're like, oh, now what the heck was that? Just go to coolphototools.com, click on podcasts, and you'll see the most recent podcast comes up first. The older ones are right below. You can scroll on down. You can watch the video version and just look at what the link to what that item was. And we do have affiliate links, which means that if you click on one of those items and then you end up buying that item, then we make a small stipend, which doesn't raise the price that you pay at all. So we all win with that. We appreciate that very much. If you'd like to help us out in that manner. All right. So, we were looking at Rhonda while I was saying that. That's okay. Rhonda was like, you can see, why is the camera on me? You're talking.
You saw me just paying a lot of attention there. I was listening. Yeah.
That's right. Who's running the switcher?
Jay is.
Still foreign. It's like, I don't know. Which camera's on?
It'll get better. We promise.
Good.
It will.
All right. So coming up, though, what I wanted to tell you about was this thing right here. Can you see this? This is from Newell's website. I'm thinking that's how you spell it, YONGNUO, but it's actually HKYONGNUO.com. So there's probably some pronunciation differences that we can't manage there. But I'm going to show you what these things look like here. And look at this a little closer here.
That is so cool.
Is that pretty interesting? And what we're looking at here, this is, I guess you're just going to have, this is a lightsaber, isn't it? Pretty much like it's about, I don't know, looks like to be, it's hard to tell from the image, maybe 3 foot long, something like that.
Yeah.
And there's LEDs in this lightsaber. This is rechargeable. And you can turn this on and you can control the color of the light. So this, if you're trying to match tungsten light, which is kind of the orangish color, or you're trying to match daylight, or if you want to do special effects, these go green and blue and red.
I think it'd be fun with painting with light at nighttime with this.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get another image up here. Take a look at this. This shows you the handle here. There's a control. You can adjust the brightness, obviously. And then it has a LED on it to give you some other stats. And these are supposedly, I don't know that we know for sure yet, but supposedly they're going to be around $70, something like that was what I heard on that.
Which is good.
A little place you can hook them to a tripod here. Although here comes that image, you can hook that right there. But yeah, so that's pretty slick.
Yeah.
Now I saw that you brought something in with you.
I did.
To the studio today, Rhonda.
I did.
Did you want to show us what that was? Because this is kind of in the same category, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Sun Pack.
And that looks like kind of like a short lightsaber as well.
It does. It does.
And these are kind of like the Westcott had the ice lights, kind of were the same category, except they were a lot more expensive than this.
Yes. Like double the price.
So who's this made by?
This is by Sun Pack.
Uh-huh.
This is the light stick. So it has dual. You see.
So it's got different colors.
Right. You've got two different colors.
You got your tungsten and you got your daylight.
You have where it will become extremely bright.
Okay, so does it have a rheostat, like a dial on the settings, or you have to keep?
You just touch the little button. So let's go.
So is it infinitely variable on the brightness, or does it step up? Or?
Oh, it comes to a certain point that it's as bright as it'll get, but it's bright enough that.
But can you dial it continuously down, or?
Yeah, I can dial it down. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see. Okay,
See?
I got it. Yeah, it is. It's continuously dialing down. So if you need just a little bit more, you could adjust it,
but
rather than stepped.
But it'll, like I said, you can see me. I'm like lit.
Yeah, of course it's pretty close to you.
Well, okay.
So this is rechargeable, I'm assuming.
It is. It is, and it'll hold the charge for 3 hours.
Oh, so once you've charged it, how long does it take to charge?
Not very long.
I was kind of looking for 1 hour,
Well,
2 hours, 10 hours.
I don't remember because when I got it was partially charged. So
okay, so Rhonda doesn't really know is the answer to that one.
Mm-hmm. But it's supposed to hold.
Well, let's take a look at the website here. Okay. I see you have that pulled up on your computer.
I do.
And this is from Adorama, it looks like, Adorama.com.
Now, here's the funny thing that I thought was very interesting with Adorama.com is that the price, you see right here, $149 for the light stick. More buying options is you can buy the light stick here and they'll give you a light stand with it for exactly the same amount of money.
So you don't actually have to take the light stand if you don't want to.
No, you don't. But, really. All right, come back in. This is the stand.
Right, hang on. Let me switch.
All right,
there you
switch.
Go.
Here's the stand.
Okay.
It's a great stand. It's metal. It will go huge. I mean, you could put this thing.
This is the Flashpoint FP59 stand.
Yes.
If you were just to buy one of those stands, what would that cost you?
I don't know. I would think probably at least $50.
Okay, 30 to $50 somewhere in there.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a nice light stand. Well, it's a nice stand if you do any type of photography lighting.
So you'll just have to kind of pay attention when you're ordering to make sure that you get the deal for $150.
Well, and I found that very interesting. I wonder how many other things that they offer that if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, all of a sudden you have a lot more stuff.
Well, you probably won't forget to do that in the future. Then you'll probably want to really pay attention and do that.
Okay, so, but with this, and this is the one I was sad about. This is from Amazon. This is another light stick. Bring up my little computer.
Oh, I have to switch that over now.
Switch that over. So
now you're looking at the Amazon.com website.
This one comes with its own little keypad. Again, the light stick. But what makes this one, except for right now, says currently unavailable.
Currently unavailable. That's because everybody watching the podcast ran in there and bought them all out. That's pretty cool. They even did that before we had it on the air. How'd that work?
But the interesting thing with this one is it has batteries for it, which to me is really important. Say you're shooting a wedding, and now you have charged this other light stick for 3 hours, and all of a sudden at the end of 3 hours, now you don't have the light anymore. This one, you can buy additional batteries for, and so just like with your camera, you can have a whole bunch of batteries. In fact, they cut the battery charger. You can get a couple extra batteries for $22.70 with a charger. And so it's like, I thought this was really good. Look,
your sun pack that you got didn't include batteries.
Well, no, because it's got internal batteries. So
but they're built in, but you can't swap them out. So when your 3 hours is exhausted,
you're going to plug it in
of running time.
Exactly.
That you're going to go back and you're going to have to recharge it before you can use it anymore. With this one, you could have a whole backpack full of batteries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which I thought is very cool.
And this one on Amazon is the Optica VL600 LED professional portable studio handheld filler lighting wand for photography and wannabe lightsaber. Now,
Right.
but on this one that we're looking at here,
Uh-huh.
do you have any idea what those actually, what the cost was on them prior?
They were like under $100.
Yeah.
And that's why this thing is sold out.
Okay, but one other thing I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
It looks to me like on the Sun Pack, it's two-sided. You've got
Right.
the tungsten lighting color on one side and then the daylight color on the other.
That is
But
true.
on this one, it looks like it's all daylight, but there's a filter that
There's
goes
a
over the
filter
top.
that you can put over it.
So it's only daylight. It's
Yeah.
got a big orange filter over it, which is going to cut down a lot of the light
That's
if
true.
you need to use it. So, 6 one, half a dozen
Yeah.
of the other.
Come and go. Yeah.
I'm thinking, it might not be all that, it probably doesn't matter which one you get.
Yeah. I'd like
Just your preference. If you know you're going to be out and doing a lot of stuff where you're going to have to replace the batteries, then probably the Optica is going to be the one. I think there's some other companies. If you look on Amazon, it seems to me like there's a lot of different brands that are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And some of them are very expensive.
And there's of course the Westcott.
Which
ice
is kind
lights.
of the ones that started
Yeah,
this.
they're like about $500
Yeah, they
a
are.
piece, I think, on theirs. All right. Well,
No
up
cheap
next.
date.
Up next, this is from Nikon, and this was on the Nikon's Facebook page, but the Nikon Singapore Facebook page, which is a little different than the U.S. one. And let's see, over there it is. So there was this. They had a contest, and this photographer, whose name I'm probably not going to pronounce correctly, so I'm going to just pass on it. Probably he might be just as well. He didn't want it anyway, but you'll get to this. There's a set of ladders that he saw while he was on a photo walk with his friends, and he thought that the view would make an interesting perspective. And then, little did he expect, just kind of framed by these ladders. And this is a. Let me back up. Is this an industrial ladder? It's metal. It's attached to the side of a building, and it has wire hoops around the outside so that if you slipped, you could reach your arms out and catch yourself. It's a safety ladder type thing. It's a permanent installation of a ladder. So it's very symmetrical looking the way his shot is. It's black and white. He has this kind of leading lines going down the center. And right at the top of this ladder, right as you look into the sky, and right as the hoop surrounds the top, he managed to capture an airplane flying over right there. So the airplane is silhouetted right at the perfect spot
It
of
is,
the
really.
ladder. And so he won this photo contest. I believe he won a Nikon. He won a Nikon trolley bag. Well, that's not really like winning a Nikon. He won a camera bag. Okay, well, big deal. Anyway, so
But he got his name out there.
he did. But now here's the rest. Here's the rest of the story.
Okay.
As we look down a little bit here, somebody took a look at his image on a professional monitor, which has a larger color gamut or shows more tones than a laptop monitor would, or just an off-the-shelf monitor. And yes, in fact, I have one of these that I looked at this image with my monitor, and you can see on the monitor that actually the plane right in the center is photoshopped in.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, and in fact, not cleverly. So there's like a big white square around the plane, and you can kind of see it, right there if you look at it.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Well, and so of course the internet has gone crazy with this.
Well, if you led everyone to believe that was the original image.
And as you see, the some of the responses were that people photoshopped things, their version of this image.
Okay, tell everybody what you're laughing at, because not everyone can see what.
Okay, so this Photoshop I'm looking at here looks by Render Brandt, and he's photoshopped in a roller coaster car. It looks like monks that are in costume, and then they all have their hands up,
Like they're doing the wave.
like they're with the roller coaster, and so the ladder then becomes like a roller coaster track. Anyway, there's a ton of these that people have done, with trying to show these things off here. So it's kind of funny. So there's a ton of images that people have photoshopped in.
I like that one.
In response, here they put Godzilla back there eating the plane, And so there's a lot of also besides having a lot of fun with this image, then there's also
I don't think that one was Photoshop. I think Godzilla actually was there.
no, pretty much I don't.
Sure?
I'm not buying it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks pretty
So
normal.
anyway, so because of that, there's a ton of different images that people have had a lot of fun with. Here's one where they actually change the levels in Photoshop, and you can see the pixel, the big white pixel around the plane.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, very, very clearly Photoshopped in. But here's the thing. Here's the deeper thing about this that I really want to talk about was like, so, and I don't know the rules on the contest.
Exactly. That would be my question. Did the rules on the contest say that you cannot do Photoshop work on it?
Yeah.
If did it have to be the actual image?
Yeah. And just what was, and we always talk about this, what are the contest rules?
Mm-hmm.
And are the rules such that, yes, you may not do any Photoshop. Photoshopping is forbidden. That's one thing.
Or you can do Photoshop and you can enhance but not change the image. No adding additional images to the image.
Yeah, don't do composites. Don't
Right.
put stuff together.
No composite work.
So if that was the case, then clearly, he's going to have to give that camera bag back.
Well, they may have him keep it because the shipping may have cost more than the camera bag. So
Yeah, that's a possibility too. Anyway, it's just kind of funny that it continues to this level. I mean, really.
what was that other image that guy recently just got in trouble for photoshopping out a straw?
Yeah, there was a zoo.
Out of the
I think
zoo image.
A zoo, yeah. And because another photographer stood right next to him at the same time and got the exact same image and then said, hey, look at this one that won the award, and mine has a straw there. And so he ratted him out to the judges.
Yeah.
This guy did a good job of Photoshop, but he did manipulate the image. So my feelings on this, and I know we have mentioned this before, is that always check the rules to the contest.
Yes.
And if they forbid you using Photoshop or compositing the image, then don't enter that contest. In fact, I would boycott it, because this is not fair. Now, if this was a painting contest, right? I know, Rhonda,
That's true.
you have done some paintings, in your time. In fact, before you started photography, you were doing paintings.
Right.
Now, if this was a painting and not a photograph, it's a painting of a lens. I keep hitting the wrong button. So if it was just a painting, right, then we wouldn't be having this discussion.
No.
Nobody would be saying, oh, and look at that. The artist clearly painted an airplane in there that wasn't there to begin with, or probably wasn't there. Now, it might have been. It's your word against his. So, because artists with paints, they've done this from
Forever.
day one.
Yeah.
Compositing is like their middle name.
Yeah.
You can bring stuff together, and that's part of the fun of it. But so when photographers can do this with Photoshop, then why is it that they get challenged? It's like, oh, that didn't happen. Like, he should have, to get this shot, he should have had to stand there and wait to see that airplane go by, and he might have missed it the first time, but then he looked up where the flight path of that airplane was and came back the next day and got, and really,
Yeah.
the image is the same.
Yeah.
What would have been the difference is it that big a deal?
If he'd known, he could used one of the software where he just clipped out the plane instead of doing a square and putting it up.
Yeah, you clearly got to make sure that you have enough resolution or gamut on your monitor to see when the pixels are a different color, but you can't maybe see it on your monitor.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't want to get too deep in that, but I think, I think you should just say, why don't we just, if it's a photo contest, let's just do this. Let's assume that you could use Photoshop and that you can composite. And that's really the fun, of a photo contest. We're trying to make great images. And if you can't use the tools that we have, what is the point? Is that kind of like, well, okay, we're having this painting contest, but you can't use your hands. You have to hold the brush in your mouth. Unless you don't have hands and you do that anyway, then you have to use your feet. It's like, it gets so contorted.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's like, I'm sorry I talked about it now. Can we just rewind that? Because
He's on his soapbox again. That's okay, though. You have a lot of people that are purists. You're always going to have the discussion. You're always going to have the discussion of someone who thinks that film is better than digital. You're always going to have the discussion of someone who thinks that you should just do images straight out of the camera and use no Photoshop. It's preference, whatever you want to do. It's your camera. Do it, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, just don't enter those contests that
Yeah.
are they're going to be snarky.
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah.
that's silly. I think it's, I don't know why they do that.
Their lies is that if you are going to do a contest, in order to win it, you usually need to look at the rules carefully because they're going to tell you how to submit it, what size it be submitted, what you can do with it. Read them.
Read them and weep. Read them and weep.
Of course,
and
only
if you win, send your prize back and go. I don't want to I don't want to win because you guys don't like Photoshop. You know, you're anti-artist. You know, so anyway.
I don't know if they send me a prize that says I get to go to Alaska. I'm going.
I'll send you to Alaska. Okay, we can start right now. We have a Kickstarter campaign to send Rhonda to Alaska. Okay, good.
Actually, my one son works up there, and he's doing that Kickstarter program himself of send Rhonda to Alaska.
Oh, he misses his mom?
He would like me to see it up there in the summertime.
Oh, okay. I think you should.
I think I should too.
Take a camera and report back to us.
That's right.
So what's this I'm looking at that you have put up on your computer?
Oh, well, you know, we had before talked about the 85 millimeter lens. So I brought in my two 85 millimeter lenses to compare.
Well, yeah, you can't have too many 85 millimeter lenses, right?
You can't have too many lenses, period. So
Rhonda says you can't have too many lenses.
Period. Everybody needs lenses. So, okay.
So for those of you with the audio version, Rhonda has
two lenses here.
two 85 millimeter
She
lenses,
does.
but one is clearly larger than the other.
Much larger.
Would you care to let us in on this?
Okay. So, all right, let's first go with this one. This is
The smaller of the two.
The smaller of the two. This is, if you bring up the little website, you'll see.
Oh, I
This
could do
is
that.
the
I just have to hit the
85.
switcher.
The 85 1.8. Boy, my lens is dusty. Has a much smaller lens.
So this is actually, we're looking at Canon lenses.
These are Canon
and
lenses.
This is on Amazon.com.
It is on Amazon.com.
And this is an 85 millimeter f 1.8.
Yes, 1.8, which it is a really good lens. I have to admit, this is a good lens.
So what would compel you then to buy another lens of the exact same focal length?
This has a lot better background blur.
Okay, so now you're talking about the larger of these lenses. And what's the difference in the two besides the physical largeness?
This lens actually is a 1.2.
So this has a much larger
Oh, yeah.
maximum aperture on it,
And
which I'm still looking at the 1.8 there.
yeah.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
Okay. Look.
Yeah. So therefore, the glass is much bigger in the
Much bigger.
f1.2, and I'm sure the weight is much more substantial as well,
Bunch.
and probably the price.
Oh, yeah, bunch. Okay, so we're looking at, with Amazon, $369. And if you're looking at the other, you're looking at almost $2,000.
So it's $369 versus about $2,000.
Yeah.
And the main difference is going to be that because this lens goes to a larger maximum aperture, you'll be able to get a shallow depth of field.
Yes.
So depth of field is what you focus on is sharp. Shallow depth of field would be what's in front of that is blurry and what's behind that is blurry, as opposed to great depth of field, which would be what you focus on is sharp, of course, but what is in front of it is also sharp, and then what's behind it is also sharp. Now you can control that by the size of the lens opening that you use. And when you use the 1.8 lens, that means that's the largest lens opening it can reach is 1.8. But the 1.2 can go a little bit more. It goes to f1.2, which lets in more light, has a shallower depth of field as a side effect. And is it worth that? Is it worth the extra $1,600?
Well, it falls under, doing people photography. So I think so, if you're doing enough like portrait photography. I'll tell you the only backdrop of this lens is that the rear element, I don't know how well you can see this, is right up next to the electronics.
So on the f1.2 85 millimeter, the rear element, or the rear glass of the lens is really flush with the mount. So
Yeah.
you need to be a
I
little
mean-
careful with that, not to scratch it, or
Yeah.
or you don't want to
You wouldn't want to just be randomly
set a
throwing
hamburger
it.
on it, or French fries, or use it as a dinner plate.
Yeah,
or-
I try not to do that with my lenses anyway.
Okay, so you have to be a little careful. But,
Yeah.
$2,000 lens, you're probably going to be
You're going to be a little
kind of
careful.
careful.
But this one, you have to be particularly careful with just mounting it onto your camera. As you can see, like this one has a recession.
Okay, so the 1.8 that you're showing is
Yeah.
the glass doesn't come right to the edge of the
No.
mount. It's back in there a little bit.
Yeah. But both of them good glass. This
Okay.
one definitely, I would say, for the average user would work just as well.
Okay. So Rhonda says maybe $1,500 is, you could save that and buy a different lens.
A couple more lenses.
Instead of having two 85s,
That's right.
one for each hand.
You can buy my 15 millimeter macro.
So do you see this?
What?
We're looking on the B&H Photo Video website here. And this is the Olympus Pen F mirrorless micro four thirds digital camera body. These are coming out soon. Coming soon. It says right there. And this, those of you that used to have Olympus cameras, this is the Pen, the Pen F. These used to be film cameras that look like this. We're seeing all this retro styling.
Because it looks
Coming back.
cool.
Does it?
I do. I like all the, especially the younger generation. They're now being able to get into the retro styles. Yeah.
Except on the back, there's an LCD screen, which pretty much gives away it's not a film camera.
Well, yeah. Well, you don't want a film camera anyway.
That's
do
right.
You?
You don't really want a film camera.
No.
And so this one is shown without the lens on it. So some of the product highlights, it's a micro four thirds system, which means there's all kinds of lenses available for it already. And it has a 20.3 megapixel sensor. So that's a pretty good, that's a sweet spot for
20.3.
sensors. I'm liking 20 megapixel sensor. I think those are good. That's a good spot for size.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't eat up too much space on your hard drives. It's manageable. So yay.
Okay.
Although, I still would like to see actually what the Canons that have the 50 megapixels. I'd like to actually get my hands on one just to see what they look like.
Oh, you know who has one of those?
Who?
Our good buddy Kenny.
Does he?
Yep, Kenny,
He got
photographer
one of
Kenny
the
Don
new
has one of
ones?
those. Yeah, he was showing me the other day when I was at the museum.
And what was his take on
No,
it?
he said he liked it. He was good with it.
Well, for what you're paying for it, I hope you're better than just good for it. That
Well, we didn't have a lot of time to get into it deep, but I think everybody that has those, the Canons that have the 50 megapixels, have been pretty impressed with them. I think they're a good deal. If you need that big of a size file, and
That's true. Well, the only thing that would be cool to see is actually cropping them. To see when you did crop in.
yeah, well, and
What
I
the
think you're going to
images look
see an
like.
improvement there. I don't think that's any question. That's going to be, you're going to see an improvement. Now, I don't know that it's going to be as good as actually getting the shot right the first time.
Right.
With
Well, that's true.
if you had a 20 megapixel camera and you got the shot right the first time, that's probably still going to be better than cropping in a 50 megapixel. I would
That's
guess.
out of
I don't-
focus.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's. Well, yeah. When you have a big sensor like that, it puts your lenses to the test.
Well, that
it
it
definitely
does.
does. So, and that's with the Nikons and the Sonys, both that came out with the large sensors that way as well. It does. You need to use your good glass on those lenses, because if you don't, you definitely can see where the lenses fall down.
Have
where
the
they're-
flaws.
Yeah, where their disappointing parts are. Mm-hmm. All right, you know what time it is.
Already?
I know, it just keeps on rolling by, doesn't
How
it?
did we do it that quick this time?
Well, I started talking, and then you started talking, and
then
went
we talked back and forth.
And we showed a couple things on the
And we
internet,
did.
as we tend to sometimes, and talked
Sometimes.
about various gear. And then you brought out some gear and showed us that on the.
Hey, we hope that you are enjoying being able to see us do this stuff better than just hearing us. And if you are just hearing us, then go home and look at us. See what you think.
That's right. Why should
You
you
know.
be happy?
Yeah. You know?
Coolphototools.com is where you want to go for all of the show notes, anything that we have mentioned on our podcasts, video or audio versions. Will be there listed in the show notes. Just click on the podcast link and you'll see the most recent episode. And if you're listening to an older one, you can scroll down and get the show notes and on those as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we always appreciate it if you click a subscribe to our channel, or you can like us on YouTube as well, and just like us to your friends. Give us a review on iTunes if you're listening on the iTunes version. We always appreciate that.
And we also can send in any of your questions.
That's right. And we also appreciate hearing from you and seeing you, and anything else you might want to send us. We always like to stay in touch. Okay, well, that just wraps it up, everybody. So have a great week, and we will talk to you next time.
See you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Cool Photo Tools podcast. Sign up for our mailing list at coolphototools.com. Got a question? Send an email or MP3 audio file to info@coolphototools.com. Thanks for listening.